The Korean Mafia boss forgot I was his wife and chose his mistress. But the truth found him too late. The first time my husband forgot me, I forgave him. The second time I almost forgave him. But the night he stood under a crystal chandelier, held another woman's hand, and called her his future wife, something inside me finally went cold. Not broken, cold. There is a difference. I was standing inside the Golden Crane Hotel ballroom with a silver tray in my hand and a black waitress uniform on my body. My shoes hurt. My collar was tight. My hair was pinned back neatly because invisible women are expected to look clean while people step over their hearts. To the rich guests in that room, I was nobody. Just Amara, the black waitress, the woman who poured champagne, the woman who smiled even when men snapped their fingers at her. The woman who moved out of the way when diamonds passed. But 5 years before that night, I had another name in that same room, Mrs. Kwon, Kwon Ji-han's wife, the secret wife of the most feared Korean mafia boss in the city, the woman who helped him turn blood money into clean money, the woman who signed half the empire into life while the city thought she was only serving tables, the woman he once promised to remember, even if the world burned down. Then the world did burn, and he forgot me. The ballroom was full of quiet danger. Men from the Kwon Council stood near the walls in black suits, hands folded in front of them, eyes moving without moving their heads. Old Korean uncles whispered in corners. Security guards wore hotel uniforms, but I knew the difference between a waiter and a man trained to reach under his jacket in 1 second. That was Ji-han's world. Beautiful lights, soft music, sharp knives hidden under silk. Then there was him, Kwon Ji-han, my husband, tall, cold, powerful, dressed in black like the night owed him respect. Every man in that room lowered his voice when he passed. Every woman looked twice. Even with his lost memory, even with 5 years stolen from him, danger still recognized him as its owner. And beside him stood Bae Sori, his mistress, the woman who found him after the accident. The woman who told him his name was something else. The woman who kept my pictures hidden, blocked my visits, fed him sweet lies, and called it love. She wore a red silk gown and my favorite pearl earrings. My earrings, the ones Ji-han bought me after our first legal hotel deal closed. Seeing them on her ears hurt more than the diamond ring in his pocket. The music softened, the lights dimmed. A small spotlight found them. Sori placed one hand over her chest like she was surprised, but I saw the smile she tried to hide. She knew this moment was coming. She had planned it. She had asked the event planner to place me on champagne service. She wanted me watching. She wanted me carrying drinks while my husband chose her. She wanted public humiliation. Ji-han reached into his jacket and pulled out a velvet box. My fingers tightened around the tray. No, not here. Not with my earrings on her. Not in my hotel. He opened the box. A diamond ring flashed under the chandelier. Sori gasped. The crowd leaned in. Ji-han looked at her with the same serious face he once gave me under courthouse rain. "You stayed when I had nothing," he said. "You were the first face I saw when I woke up. You gave me a life when I did not know who I was. Marry me." The room melted. Women sighed. Men clapped. Sori covered her mouth. "Yes," yes. Ji-han, applause filled the ballroom like thunder. I took 1 step back. A waiter bumped my elbow. One champagne glass tipped over and shattered against the marble floor. The applause died. Every eye turned to me. Sori looked over Ji-han's shoulder and smiled, not warmly, like a woman watching a wound open. "Oh dear," she said loudly. The waitress ruined the moment. A few guests laughed. I bent down to pick up the broken glass. Then Sori walked toward me, slow and sweet, making sure every camera followed her. She stopped close enough for me to smell my perfume on her skin. "A waitress can wear a clean uniform," she said, "but she should still know her place." The room went quiet. That was the face slap, not with her hand. With her words, I looked up at her. She leaned lower and whispered, "You can stare all you want, Amara. A waitress can wear a ring in secret, but that does not make her a wife." My heart stopped. She knew. Of course she knew. She had known for years. She had not stolen my life by accident. She had studied it first. Ji-han stepped forward. "Enough," he said. For 1 foolish second, my heart betrayed me. I thought he remembered. He looked at my face with a strange pain in his eyes. "Have we met?" he asked. The whole ballroom froze. Sori's hand slid around his arm. She worked at one of your smaller restaurants years ago, she said quickly. Nothing important. Nothing important. 5 years of marriage, 2 years of building, a ring hidden under my blouse, 1,000 nights waiting for memory to return. Nothing important. Jihan looked at me again. Is that true? I stood slowly. My knees wanted to shake, but I would not give them the satisfaction. Yes, I said. I used to work for you. Sori smiled wider. See, just staff. The words moved through the room like a knife. I looked at Jihan, then at Sori, then at the councilmen watching from the walls. They all thought I had lost. They thought the Black Waitress had been embarrassed in front of the Korean Mafia boss and his beautiful mistress. They thought Betrayal had finally finished me. They were wrong. I picked up the broken glass, placed it on my tray, and gave Sori the calmest smile I had left. Congratulations, I said. I hope you enjoy what you stole. Her smile twitched. Jihan's eyes narrowed. What did you say? I turned away. Nothing important, Mr. Kwon. Comment prompt. If you were Amara, would you expose them right there, or walk away and return stronger? Comment. Walk away if you believe silence can be a setup for revenge. That night, I left the Golden Crane through the staff entrance. My uniform smelled like champagne. My hands had tiny cuts from the glass. My heart felt strangely clean, because I finally understood. Waiting had become a cage. Love had become a place where I kept bleeding quietly so he could heal comfortably. No more. By sunrise, my counterattack would begin, and by the time Kwon Ji-han remembered I was his wife, the truth would find him too late. Before Kwon Ji-han became the man who forgot me, he was the man who saw me. That was how love started. Not with flowers, not with diamonds, with being seen. I met him at a late-night jazz club called Blue Saint, where I worked double shifts and pretended my feet did not hurt. Rich men came there to drink, lie, cheat, and hide behind expensive smoke. I was 28. My mother's bakery was failing. My accounting degree was unfinished. My rent was late, and my smile was something I wore for tips. Jihan came every Thursday at 11:40 p.m. Always alone, always in black, always sitting at table 9, facing the door. He never ordered alcohol, only black coffee and pear tea. The staff whispered about him like he was a ghost with a bank account. They said he ran the Kwon family. They said ships moved when he said move. They said clubs paid because he said pay. They said men who crossed him suddenly became very polite or very gone. I believed half of it. The other half I learned later. One night, a drunk businessman grabbed my wrist because I refused to give him my number. Girls like you should be grateful, he said. Before I could answer, the club went silent. Jihan stood from table 9. He did not shout. He did not touch the man. He simply said, "Let her go." The businessman laughed until he saw the owner lower his head. Then he let me go. Jihan walked to me, looked at my wrist, and said, "Ice, 10 minutes, not more." I stared at him. "Are you a doctor?" "No," he said. "I just know what damage looks like." That was the first real thing he ever said to me. After that, he started walking me to my car. Then he sent his driver when he could not come. Then one night, after someone followed me home, he brought me to a private room above one of his restaurants and told me the truth. "I have enemies," he said. "If you stand near me, they will notice. Is that your warning? It is my chance to let you leave. I should have left. A smart woman would have. But love does not always look like danger at first. Sometimes it looks like protection. Sometimes it looks like a man noticing your bruised wrist when everyone else looked away." 3 months later, I became more than the waitress he loved. I became the woman he trusted. Jihan was trying to clean the Kwon Empire. His father had built it with fear, illegal deals, and old blood promises. Jihan wanted the legal businesses strong enough to cut the dirty ones loose. Hotels, restaurants, private security, shipping, real estate. He needed someone no one suspected. Someone who understood numbers. Someone invisible, me. By day, I served drinks. By night, I reviewed contracts. I found fake invoices. I spotted missing money. I traced hidden payments through shell companies. I saw patterns his men missed because they were trained to look for bullets, not bookkeeping. Jihan called me his quiet blade. I called him trouble in a tailored suit. He laughed only when we were alone. That laugh became my favorite sound. We married at midnight on a rainy Tuesday. No big wedding, no white flowers, no family blessing. Just a courthouse judge, his old advisor, Mr. Ko, my best friend Talia, and the smell of rain on his coat. He slid a plain gold ring onto my finger. "I cannot give you peace yet," he said, "but I can give you truth." I believed him. Then he signed the first papers for Bellamy-Kwon Holdings, my name first. His choice. "Why my name first?" I asked. "Because they will never see you coming," he said, "and one day that will save us. For 2 years we built in secret. The city thought Jihan owned everything. But the clean empire had my fingerprints everywhere. I owned 49% through the Bellamy Trust. I signed the emergency clauses. I approved hotel transfers. I built staff protections. I created the account locks. I held the hidden identity that could stop the Kwon family if they ever turned on me." Then came the airport night. Jihan was supposed to fly to Busan to meet his uncle, Kwon Dae-sik, a man who smiled like a priest and threatened like a snake. Dae-sik wanted the old empire back. Dirty money, fear, obedience. Jihan wanted him out. Before Jihan left, he came to my mother's bakery kitchen, where I was baking sweet potato pie. He stole a spoonful of filling. I smacked his hand. He laughed. "You burned the crust," he said. "I did not. It smells like smoke. It smells like love." He kissed my forehead. "I would eat ashes if your hands made them." That silly line became one of my favorite memories. Then he took a blue ribbon from the counter and tied it around my wrist. "For luck," he said. "When you come back," I told him. "No more hiding." His face went serious. "No more hiding. I will tell the city you are my wife. Promise?" He touched my ring. Even if I forget my own name, he never made it to the plane. His SUV was hit before the private terminal. His driver died. Jihan disappeared. For 3 months I searched everywhere. Hospitals, ports, private clinics, fishing villages, police basements. Places where money opened doors and grief kept me walking. Then I found him, a coastal clinic, a scar near his temple, a different name in his chart, and Bae Sori beside his bed. She looked at me like she had been expecting me. "He does not know you," she said. I pushed past her. "Jihan." He looked at me. No recognition, only pain. "Who are you?" he asked. That question killed something in me. The doctors warned me not to push. His brain had survived trauma. Strong emotional pressure could trigger seizures, confusion, even deeper damage. So I waited. I told myself love was patient. I told myself the truth would return. But Sori built walls around him. She told him I was a greedy woman. She told him I wanted money. She told him I had betrayed him. She told him she saved him from the sea, even though later I learned she had found him after someone else pulled him from the wreck. 5 years passed. He did not remember. And while he forgot, I protected everything. I blocked Dae-sik's takeover. I paid staff salaries when accounts were frozen. I cleaned contracts. I fought board panic. I stayed invisible because I thought the man I loved was still somewhere inside him. That was my mistake. I thought loyalty meant waiting. But sometimes waiting becomes self-betrayal. Sometimes the woman who keeps forgiving becomes the woman everyone learns to use. After the proposal, I went home to the apartment above my mother's old bakery. Not the Kwon mansion. Not the penthouse. Not the hotel suite that had my name buried in its ownership papers. I went where I still knew who I was. Cinnamon in the walls. Rain tapping the windows. Old wood floors. My best friend Talia Reeves was waiting at the kitchen table with a legal folder and a face full of thunder. Talia was my lawyer, my sister in everything but blood, and the only woman in the world who could look at my silence and hear screaming. "He proposed?" she asked. I nodded. "In public?" I nodded again. "With your earrings on her?" That was when my throat tightened. "Yes." Talia closed her eyes. "Amara, I'm fine." "No, you're calm. That is worse." I took off the waitress apron and folded it slowly. For years, that uniform had been my disguise. People confess around staff. They forget waitresses have ears. That was how I heard Dae-sik's men discussing fake invoices. That was how I learned Sori had entered the private archive. That was how I found out the Kwon Council planned to approve her as Jihan's future wife. That was how I learned Sori had ordered my name removed from the staff database so I could not enter executive floors anymore. She wanted me erased from every doorway. But she had forgotten something. I built the locks. Talia opened the folder. Everything is ready. Separation filing, trust activation, emergency board notice, asset freeze, hotel control transfer, fraud packet, security footage request, council notification, federal report. I stared at the papers. My hands did not shake. That scared me. Talia pushed a pen toward me. Once you sign, this becomes war. I laughed softly. Talia, I married a mafia boss. It was always war. I just kept calling it love. Outside, thunder rolled. I signed the first page, then the second, then the third. Each signature cut a rope inside me. Secret wife, silent partner, hidden shield, forgotten woman. Cut, cut, cut. At 2:13 a.m., Bellamy-Kwon Holdings woke up. Every emergency clause Jihan and I created went active. Every account Sori touched was flagged. Every clean asset moved beyond her reach. Every hotel camera file was copied to 3 servers. Every board member received notice that the hidden co-founder had called an emergency meeting. Every Kwon council elder received 1 sentence. Amara Bellamy-Kwon is no longer waiting. By morning, the first door closed. Sori tried to enter the private east wing of the mansion. Denied. She tried to approve wedding expenses. Denied. She tried to access the bridal suite. Denied. She tried to move money from the restaurant group. Frozen. She called Jihan crying before breakfast. By noon, he called me. I watched his name appear on my phone for the first time in months. Kwon Jihan. My husband, my almost. My too late, I answered. Where are you, he asked. No greeting. Still commanding. Still used to doors opening. The waitress quit, I said. Then I ended the call. Talia looked proud. That was cold. No, I said. That was overdue. At 3 that afternoon, I checked into the Black Orchid Hotel under my real title. Amara Bellamy, chairwoman of the Bellamy Trust. I changed out of my old life. Cream suit, gold earrings, hair down, wedding ring on my finger not hidden under my blouse. It was not a glow-up because I suddenly became beautiful. I had always been beautiful. It was a glow-up because I stopped asking pain for permission to stand tall. Comment prompt. Comment power reversal. If you knew the moment she stopped begging was the moment she started winning. That evening, Talia received a message from one of our private investigators. Sori had made her next move. She had gone to the Kwon Council and claimed my marriage certificate was fake, forgery, fraud, a desperate waitress trying to steal from a confused mafia boss. Talia placed the phone in front of me. She is forcing a public council review before the engagement gala. I smiled. Good, good? Yes, let her build the stage higher. Talia studied me. You want the reveal public? No, I said. She does, and for the first time all night I felt something warm behind my ribs. Not hope, not love. Strategy. Kwon Jihan came to the Black Orchid the next morning. No appointment, no warning, of course. Men like him think urgency is a key. The lobby changed when he walked in. Conversations lowered. Security straightened. A businessman near the elevator stepped aside before Jihan even reached him. 2 guards followed behind him. Not hotel guards. Kwon men. I could tell by their shoes, their posture, and the way their eyes checked exits before faces. I was sitting near the fireplace with Talia and Mr. Ko, reviewing the council file. The lobby manager hurried over. Ms. Bellamy, Mr. Kwon is demanding to speak with you. Demanding, I closed my folder. Tell him he has 10 minutes. Mr. Ko's mouth twitched like he wanted to smile. Jihan approached slowly. When he saw me, he stopped. His eyes moved over my face, my hair, my suit, my ring. Something inside him flickered. Pain, confusion, recognition trying to crawl through a locked door. Amara, he said. My name sounded familiar and foreign in his mouth. Mr. Kwon. His jaw tightened. You blocked me. Yes. You froze accounts. Yes. You shut Sori out of the mansion. The mansion belongs to the trust on the clean side. She has no legal access. His eyes narrowed. You speak like you own my life. No, I said. I speak like I stopped letting you own mine. Talia stood. I'll be nearby. Mr. Ko bowed his head and stepped away too. Jihan waited until they left. What is happening? What part? My company, my house, my board, my council. Sori says you forged documents. Sori also says she saved you from the sea. His face darkened. She did. No, she found you after someone else saved you. Then she built a love story on top of your head injury. He stepped closer. Careful. There he was, the mafia boss, the warning voice. The room went colder. But I had lived with that voice. I had kissed that mouth. I had watched powerful men tremble under that tone. I did not move. "Do not threaten me with the monster I helped you control," I said. His eyes flashed. Then the anger broke into pain. "Were we married?" I laughed once, sharp and sad. "You ask like marriage is a rumor. Answer me." "Yes, we were married." His face changed. "Why did no one tell me?" "People did. Sori filtered them out. Doctors were paid. Staff were dismissed. Mr. Ko was kept away for months. I was painted as a gold digger, and you believed the woman who stood closest to your hospital bed." He pressed his fingers to his temple. "I don't remember. I know. Then help me remember." There it was, the sentence I once prayed for. But prayers that arrive after humiliation do not feel holy. They feel late. I pulled one envelope from my bag and placed it on the table. Inside was a copy of our marriage certificate, a courthouse photo, Bellamy-Kwon founding papers, a napkin from Blue Sint, and the blue ribbon he tied around my wrist the night he vanished. His hand stopped over the ribbon. His breathing changed. "What is this?" "You gave it to me before the airport." His fingers touched the faded blue fabric. A sharp pain crossed his face. I saw the memory hit him, but not fully. "Like lightning behind clouds," he whispered, "sweet potato." My chest tightened. "What?" He looked at me, confused by his own mouth. "Smoke. You said it smelled like love." For a second, the room disappeared. I was back in my mother's kitchen, flour on my hands. His laugh in the air, the burned crust, his lips on my forehead, his voice saying, "I would eat ashes if your hands made them." Jihan grabbed the edge of the table. "Why do I know that?" I blinked hard. "Because you were there." His eyes lifted to mine. "Amara." The old softness almost returned. Almost. Then his phone rang. Sorry, the screen, lit up between us like a curse, did not answer. "Good. But not enough," I stood. "I gave you proof. What you do with it is your problem now." He rose too. "Don't walk away." I looked at him. "You walked away from me every day. You chose not to question why my name hurt you. I was injured." "Yes, and I was loyal. Both can be true." He had no answer. So I gave him the one he deserved. "You want memory. I want freedom." Then I left him standing there with the ribbon in his hand. By night, Sori made her next public move. She announced the engagement gala would continue. Then she leaked a statement to the press. A former waitress is attempting to exploit Mr. Kwon's medical condition with forged marriage claims. That was her last mistake, because now she had not only stolen my life, she had dared me to prove it in front of everyone. The engagement gala began with locked doors. Sori had learned from the first ballroom night. This time she ordered extra security, changed the guest list, and told the hotel staff not to let me enter. That would have worked if she owned the hotel. She did not. I arrived at the Golden Crane 30 minutes after the press. Not through the front. Through the owner's entrance. Talia walked beside me with a silver laptop. Mr. Ko followed behind us with 2 council elders who had finally decided truth was safer than Sori. Inside the ballroom, Sori had built herself a throne out of flowers and lies. White roses covered the stage. Gold lights washed the walls. A giant screen behind her showed soft photos of her and Jihan walking on beaches, attending charity dinners, smiling beside hospital donors. Fake memories for a stolen life. Jihan stood beside her, but he did not look proud. He looked haunted. Good. The blue ribbon had started digging. Sori lifted her glass. "Tonight," she said, "we celebrate love, loyalty, and the future of the Kwon family." The Kwon Council watched from the front row. Reporters raised cameras. Sori smiled at them like she was already queen. She continued, "Some people from the past cannot accept that they were never chosen. Some people mistake service for importance. But tonight, we move forward," the crowd murmured. Then she looked straight toward the staff entrance where she thought I would be blocked. "A waitress can dream," she said, "but dreams do not make her Mrs. Kwon." That was when the main screen went black, the music cut. The ballroom doors opened. I walked in, not as a waitress, not with a tray, not with my head down. I wore a white tailored dress, my wedding ring, and the calm face of a woman who had already won before she entered the room. Every camera turned. Someone whispered, "That's her," another said. "The waitress?" A third voice answered, "No, that is Amara Bellamy." Sori's smile vanished. Jihan stared at me like memory had wrapped a hand around his throat. I walked to the stage. Security moved to stop me. Mr. Ko raised one hand. The guards froze. That was mafia power, not shouting, not chaos. One old man's hand telling every trained body in the room who truly had authority. Talia stepped forward. This event is now under legal review. Sori laughed too loudly. You are embarrassing yourself. No, I said. You already did that for me. I just came to correct the record. The screen behind us changed. First slide. Marriage certificate. Kwon Ji-han and Amara Bellamy. Second slide. Courthouse photo. Third slide. Bellamy-Kwon Holdings. Founding ownership. Fourth slide. Emergency protection clause. Fifth slide. Unauthorized transfers linked to Bae Sori. The room erupted. Sori spun toward Ji-han. She forged this. Talia lifted a folder. These documents were verified by the court, the corporate registry, 2 banks, and 3 independent forensic examiners. The screen changed again. Security footage appeared. Sori entering the private archive. Sori removing files. Sori meeting Kwon Dae-sik. Sori speaking to a doctor outside Ji-han's hospital room. Then audio filled the ballroom. Sori's voice. If he remembers Amara, everything falls apart. Tell him she only wants money. Keep her away from him. The crowd went dead silent. That silence was the loudest thing I had ever heard. Sori backed up. No, that is edited. Mr. Ko stepped onto the stage. It is not. Sori's face twisted. You old fool, the council elders stiffened. Mr. Ko did not blink. Bae Sori lied to the Kwon family, manipulated an injured man, misused company access, and conspired with Kwon Dae-sik. Under council law, she has no protection. For the first time, Sori looked afraid. Ji-han stepped toward the screen. The courthouse photo glowed above him. Me in my simple white dress, him in his black coat, rain on our shoulders, the blue ribbon on my wrist. He stared. Then his hand went to his temple. His knees almost gave. A guard moved forward, but Ji-han pushed him away. No, he whispered, his eyes filled with horror. Then he looked at me. You burned the pie, he said. The ballroom froze. My breath caught. Ji-han's voice shook. You were angry because you thought my mother would hate it. I told you I would eat ashes if your hands made them. Tears burned my eyes. No one else understood that sentence. But I did. He remembered. Not the documents, not the ring, not the empire. Me, his face broke. Amara! Sori screamed. Stop it! Ji-han turned on her. You knew. No. You knew she was my wife. Sori's eyes filled with panic. She abandoned you. I stayed. You imprisoned me inside a lie. I loved you. You loved what you could steal. She pointed at me. She was a waitress. She was nothing before you. I stepped closer. No, Sori. I was invisible before him. That is not the same as nothing. The screen changed one final time. A list of frozen accounts. Her name. Dae-sik's name. The shell companies. The stolen transfers. The false medical payments. Her whole fake life exposed in white letters. Talia spoke clearly. Bae Sori. You are removed from all Bellamy-Kwon properties. Your accounts are frozen pending federal investigation. The engagement is void. The company has filed criminal complaints. Sori looked at Ji-han. Do something. He stared at her like he finally saw the snake under the silk. I am. He turned to the guards. Remove her. Sori screamed as they took her arms. You can't do this to me. I saved you. Ji-han's voice was low. No. You found a wounded man and stole his life. As they dragged her past me, she hissed. You think you won? I looked at her. No, I did. The room heard it. The cameras caught it. The internet would repeat it. That was not just revenge. That was karma in a white dress. That was a public humiliation turned inside out. That was the hidden identity reveal. The city would never forget. That was the moment the waitress became the woman who owned the room, and the mistress became the cautionary tale. After the gala, the city changed its story overnight. The same guests who laughed when Sori called me staff now called me Chairwoman Bellamy-Kwon. The same reporters who ignored me now requested interviews. The same board members who once spoke over me now stood when I entered the room. That is how power works in public. People respect what they realize they cannot take. Sori was arrested 3 days later. Fraud conspiracy, medical interference, corporate theft, identity manipulation. Dae-sik tried to flee through a private airfield, but Mr. Ko had already closed his accounts and blocked his transport. The old council abandoned him before sunrise. That was the thing about mafia loyalty. It looked strong until money stopped moving. By the end of the week, the dirty side of the Kwon family was under investigation. Ji-han stepped down from daily control. I became interim chair of the clean companies. Some headlines called it betrayal. Some called it revenge. Some called it the greatest power reversal the city had ever seen. One headline went viral. She walked away with everything. That was not fully true. I walked away with what was mine. There is a difference. Ji-han came to see me 2 weeks later. No guards, no black suit, no command in his walk. He found me at my mother's bakery, sitting by the window with coffee in a chipped blue mug. Rain tapped against the glass. Of course it rained. Our story always knew how to be dramatic. "May I sit?" he asked. I nodded. He sat across from me. For a long moment he said nothing. Then he placed a folder on the table. "What is this?" I asked. "My shares in the first 3 restaurant groups. I signed them into the employee trust you created." I opened the folder. It was real, no trick, no condition. I looked at him. "Why?" "Because you were right. The people who served us deserved protection before the powerful protected themselves. That hurt. Not because it was bad, because it was exactly the kind of man I had once loved." He placed another envelope on the table. My chest tightened. "The divorce papers," he said. Signed. The bakery went quiet, or maybe I stopped hearing everything else. He looked at me with red eyes. "I do not want this, but I have no right to hold you because I finally remembered what I should have protected." I touched the envelope. For years, I had imagined this moment differently. I thought if he remembered me, my heart would run back home. But memory is not a magic spell. It cannot erase the nights I cried in silence. It cannot erase Sori wearing my earrings. It cannot erase him calling me staff. It cannot erase the way I shrank myself to keep him safe. "I am sorry," he said. Simple words. Too small, still real. "I am sorry for forgetting you. I am sorry for believing her. I am sorry for letting the city humiliate you. I am sorry you carried my empire while I could not even carry your name." My throat tightened. "You were injured, yes," he said, "but you were wounded too. And everyone treated my wound like tragedy, while treating yours like inconvenience." That sentence almost broke me, because he finally understood. Too late. "But I loved you," I said, his face twisted. "I know, no," I said softly, "you know now. But I loved you when loving you made me invisible. I loved you when your counsel looked through me. I loved you when bankers saw my skin, my uniform, and my last name, and decided I could not understand the numbers. I loved you when Sori slept in my room and called me nothing. I loved you when you forgot I was your wife." A tear slid down his face. "But I cannot spend the rest of my life proving a truth that should have protected me the first time." He nodded slowly. "I would wait for you. I know. I would spend the rest of my life making it right. I know. Is there any chance?" There it was. The question the old me had prayed for. The question that would have saved us if it came before the proposal, before the public humiliation, before the mistress, before the years of being erased. I looked at him, then at the signed divorce papers. "No," I said. "The truth found you, Ji-han, but it found you too late." He closed his eyes. For once he did not fight. Maybe that was his final act of love, to not turn grief into control. He stood after a long silence. At the door, he looked back. "Amara, yes. Your grandmother said your name meant grace that survived." I swallowed. "Yes," his voice broke. "You survived me." Then he left. I did not chase him. That was my final glow-up. Not the dress, not the company, not the cameras, not the revenge. The fact that I let the door close without begging pain to come back wearing love's face. 6 months later, the Golden Crane Ballroom reopened under a new name, the Bellamy Room. At first, I hated the idea. I did not want my name attached to the place where Sori called me staff and my husband asked if we had met. Talia told me, "That is exactly why your name belongs there." She was right. Some rooms need to be reclaimed. The reopening night was not a mafia party. No fake engagement, no council threats, no red dress, no stolen earrings. It was a scholarship dinner for women rebuilding their lives after betrayal, workplace humiliation, financial abuse, and emotional erasure. Every waitress working that night had her name printed clearly on her badge. Every staff member had full pay, health benefits, legal support, and a path to management. I made sure of that. Because I knew what it felt like to be invisible. And I knew invisible women often carried the whole room. I stood on the same stage where Sori's lies had fallen apart. The chandeliers glowed above me. The city watched again. But this time, I was not holding a tray. I stepped to the microphone. 6 months ago, I said, I stood in this room as a waitress. I was laughed at. I was dismissed. I was called nothing. Many people saw a woman being humiliated. They did not know they were looking at the woman who owned the room. The audience went silent. I used to think being chosen was the greatest proof of love. I was wrong. Being respected is greater. Being safe is greater. Being honest with yourself is greater. I took a breath. I was betrayed. I wanted revenge. I made my counterattack. I watched karma do what karma does. I had my comeback. I had my hidden identity reveal. People said she walked away with everything. People said she won. A small smile touched my face. But winning was not taking back a hotel. Winning was taking back my voice. Applause rose slowly, then stronger. I waited until the room settled. The moral is simple. Never let someone else's memory decide your worth. If they forget who you are, remind yourself first. And when the truth finally comes, make sure it finds you standing, not waiting. The applause became louder. This time, I accepted it. Not because I needed approval, because I had earned peace. After the dinner, a young waitress stopped me near the exit. Mrs. Bellamy? Yes, she looked nervous. I just wanted to say, when you said invisible women carry the room, I felt that. I smiled at her. What is your name? Naomi. Naomi, I said. Never let anyone make you feel lucky to be noticed. Make them lucky to know you. Her eyes filled with tears. Thank you. Outside, the rain had stopped. The pavement shone under the streetlights. A hotel employee handed me a small envelope. No sender, she said. I knew the handwriting before I opened it. Amara, I saw your speech. You were right. Truth came too late for us, but not too late for you. I am proud of the woman you became, even though I know you became her because I failed the woman you were. I will not ask again. Live free. Jihan, I read it once, then I folded it and placed it in my purse. Not against my heart, not in a secret drawer, just my purse. A memory, not a chain. A reporter near the front doors called out, Mrs. Bellamy, what would you say to women who feel forgotten? I stopped. Cameras lifted. For a second, I thought about Blue Saint. The courthouse, the burned pie, the blue ribbon, the airport, the proposal, the broken glass, Sori's red dress, Jihan's tears, the divorce papers. Then I looked into the camera. I would tell them this, I said. Love is beautiful, but self-respect is what saves you. A person who truly loves you should not need a crowd, a crisis, or a loss to recognize your value. And if they only see your worth after you walk away, keep walking. The reporter lowered her microphone. I smiled. Then I stepped into the night. Behind me, the Bellamy room glowed bright. Ahead of me, the city opened. For years, I thought my story ended when the Korean Mafia boss forgot I was his wife. But that was not the ending. That was the beginning of the woman I became. He forgot me. His mistress replaced me. The city laughed at me. Then truth arrived with receipts. And yes, it arrived too late for him, but right on time for me. Comment, she won. If you believe the best karma is when a woman stops begging and starts becoming herself.